They laughed at him. They dismissed him. But minutes later, they were left speechless. Imagine walking into a courtroom, fully prepared, fully confident, yet everyone assumes you're a joke. The judge smirks. The opposing lawyer chuckles. The audience whispers under their breath. But in just a matter of moments, this young black lawyer turned the entire courtroom upside down. With just one piece of evidence. Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you. Meet Marcus, a kid who grew up in a neighborhood where dreams were often crushed before they could even take off. His parents struggled to make ends meet, but they taught him one thing: knowledge is power. No one can take it away from you. He studied harder than anyone. He worked 2 jobs to put himself through law school. He knew he had to fight twice as hard to be taken seriously. And now, here he was, his first big case. But the moment he walked into that courtroom, none of his hard work seemed to matter. This wasn't just any case. This was a high-stakes eviction lawsuit. A wealthy real estate company wanted to throw an elderly black woman out of her home, a home she had lived in for 30 years. Why? Because they wanted to build luxury condos for rich buyers. Her husband had passed away in that home. Her children were raised there. It wasn't just a house, it was her whole life. But to the company, she was just an obstacle in their way. The company hired one of the best lawyers in the city, a man who had never lost a case. He knew every trick, every loophole. And when he saw who he was up against, he laughed. Marcus had spent weeks preparing for this case. He had every argument lined up, every law memorized. But the moment he opened his mouth, the judge barely even looked at him. Then the opposing lawyer leaned back in his chair and said with a smirk, "Son, do you even know what you're doing?" The courtroom saw a young black man and assumed he wasn't ready. They expected him to fail. They expected him to choke. What they didn't expect was what happened next. Instead of getting flustered, instead of arguing, Marcus did something brilliant. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out this, a Supreme Court ruling from decades ago, almost identical to this case. A case that had set a legal precedent protecting tenants from being evicted unfairly. The judge's smirk faded. The real estate attorney's confidence vanished. Because this document didn't just support Marcus's argument, it destroyed theirs. For the first time in that trial, no one had anything to say. The judge looked at the high-profile attorney and asked, "Do you have a counter-argument?" The lawyer stammered. His hands trembled. Finally, he shook his head. He had nothing. Case dismissed. The elderly woman won. She got to keep her home. And Marcus, he didn't just win his first case, he shut down an entire system that tried to play dirty. So what's the takeaway here? People will underestimate you. They'll assume you're not good enough. But guess what? None of that matters if you come prepared. Marcus didn't fight back with anger. He fought back with facts. And when you come armed with knowledge, the people who doubt you, they won't be laughing anymore. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever been underestimated? What did you do about it? Let's talk. And if you loved this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful story like this. I'll see you in the next one.